What's the beverage of choice tonight?
I actually have a beer and a scotch, so...
I have some white wine.
That's very classy of you.
I appreciate that word choice. Because there were a lot of others you could have gone with. Hello, it is Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016, and it is episode 20 of Due for a Win, the Atlantic City and Casino Biz podcast. My name is Craig Stone. With me is Kyle Askin.
Howdy.
So episode 20 has a somewhat special meaning for us, in that, not because it's something of a round number, but more because I idiotically said several episodes ago that I thought Glenn Straub would have Revel open by August, not by August, but by episode 20, and we are at that point, and it is not open.
It is indeed not open, and not only that, but it doesn't really look like it's going to be open anytime soon.
So I lose a bet that we didn't have any money on, thankfully. Our jokes on Twitter about me delaying this episode, trying to hope that...
Which you have been doing. I do have to say, I'm sorry for everyone that we are a bit later than usual. I know usually we try to get these things up on Sunday, and it's now Tuesday that we're recording, so it's probably going to be, Wednesday or Thursday that it's up?
Yeah, I think we'll get it up on Wednesday, but...
we can crank out some editing, or not editing, as the case may be.
Yeah, I'm hoping for not editing. That's what we're shooting for here, just one take, crystal clear, whatever, clean copy.
I mean, it's the podcast way.
It is. So... I don't know, should we launch into the Revel thing since we've already...
let's talk about that first. I mean, I feel like we've gone too deep to stop now.
So, thankfully I didn't have any money on this bet because I would be out whatever that money would be. But
I'll make you buy me a beer at the Mountain Bar.
Sounds good. $3 out of my pocket.
Yep.
So the Revel is still not open, as we've mentioned, and the latest is that it will probably not be open until late September at the earliest, unless Glenn Straub wins some kind of appeal. So what the latest news is basically says that they need to go through the CRDA. They applied for land use permit, which is a quicker process. They would hope that they would just get that. The CRDA came back and said that they had to apply for a site plan approval, which is a much lengthier process. Basically, they filed that on Tuesday, July 6th. That application will be presented at a public hearing on August 18th, and that's before it can even go in front of the CRDA, and then the CRDA would look at that at their full board meeting on September 20th. So if that's the process they have to go through, it's going to be another month and a half at this point. Polo North is appealing that decision that they can't just go through the standard land use permit option. I say standard, but I don't know what the standards are here, or if there are really standards. And so Straub has basically just said, oh, this is government, government, government. That's his quote. And I think he even said that Revel would be open when government stops being government or something like that. So clearly he's not happy. Obviously, you can make the argument that they dragged their heels on a lot of stuff permit-wise when Revel is just sitting there for however long that he owned it, but I don't know, it seems like we're looking at September 20th unless something big changes here.
So what do you think? Do you think it'll be shortly after September 20th, or?
I mean, what we've said before, and I think still holds true, is why? Like, why would you open at that point? I mean, if you're pushed past Labor Day anyway, which September 20th is 2 weeks after Labor Day, why wouldn't you just wait until, March or something and do a soft opening then, and then really open in the summer?
Yeah, I agree. If I were him and this is what it looked like, I would be trying to open in like March or April probably. But
I mean, we don't really know sort of what he has already on the books as far as ongoing expenses that he has to deal with in the interim. Like, who knows for, like, the ropes course, is he leasing that and has to pay? I mean, I have no idea. I'm assuming he just bought it because I can't imagine that leasing it would be more cost effective. But as far as, like you mentioned last episode, employees, if he's got some contract, like he says he has a subcontract, is that in effect now and he's already paying, or what's the deal? So
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, but like I said last time, I think I kind of doubt it. I personally don't. If I were him, I wouldn't open until March or April, especially because this is just to open the hotel, right? And like God only knows what's happening with the casino part of it. So I don't know.
I don't know. It just seems like this news has made it significantly more likely that the answer to the question is sometime in 2017. It's not a, August to December sort of answer, unless he's just really hard-headed about it and thinks I'm going to open because I said I was going to open in 2016, and September, October is closer to June 2016 than March 2017 is, which, these guys, Blattstein and Straub, certainly, I don't know, seem to have ways that maybe don't make that much sense to us. But who knows? I mean, it seems to me like it would make much more sense to wait.
Yeah. So I have to say that your official bet or whatever on the poll that our friend created like a month ago of by the end of August, it does not look good.
Oh, yeah. Even that, I was like, he's going to do it. I'm just lost all optimism at this point. I'm done making bets. There's no double or nothing here. I won't go to my martingale system and say I've lost, so I'm going to put twice as much now on the bet.
I've actually heard it's impossible to lose money if you play the martingale strategy.
As long as there are no limits, it is impossible to lose.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, Craig. It makes perfect sense.
It's true. So the next thing, other sort of disappointing news, is that the Taj Mahal is still dealing with a strike. The local union there, their service employees are still on strike now, over a month into it, because they started on July 1st. And the latest news on that is that they are pushing the state government for unemployment benefits. So they've gone and sort of petitioned the state Senate and Assembly to push a bill that says striking workers can get unemployment benefits. The Senate has passed this bill already. That passed yesterday. No word on when that'll go to the Assembly, but that's the latest, and to me, seems like it could really drag on the strike, because all of a sudden, it's not going to get them what they were getting paid or probably anywhere close, but it gives them enough sort of sustenance to keep going for much longer than maybe probably Carl Icahn was hoping, because people who aren't paid really well probably don't have a bunch of money stocked up and maybe can't hold out for that long. If they get a little bit of cash inflow coming to them, maybe they can hold out for much longer, and it certainly gives them a bigger bargaining chip.
So they have been getting paid. I think the way that it works is that the union sort of pays striking workers from some fund that the union runs. I'm not sure if that was running low or what the situation with that was, but they weren't making nothing.
Do we know that, though?
Yeah, we know. And as part of that, they had to go picket for 4 hours a day or whatever. Okay. And yeah, it was in some articles. So the workers were making something, but presumably this makes it easier on, probably on the union, honestly.
Right.
So
I mean, certainly a big part of the bargaining power of a union is if they've got a bunch of money in reserves. Like with baseball.
Yeah. So what do you think this is doing to the Taj? I mean, from we've had a couple people in the Facebook group who've stayed there, and by all accounts, it seems like it's okay there. It's not like perfect. Like they don't do housekeeping between like while you're there, and apparently it's been a little bit like slower to get drink service and stuff, because at least at the beginning it was dealers doing it.
Wow. I'd almost like to go see it just to see how that's working.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we heard a report on our Facebook group, and basically they said they had a good time at the Taj, but, a lot of restaurants are closed, which really hurts, obviously. Eric on our Facebook group, I think it was Eric, made the point that, the Taj is not a resort. It is not someplace where, like Borgata, where you go and you see a show and you drink and you eat and you stay there the entire time and never leave the property. It is focused on gambling. It is a big casino that happens to have a couple of restaurants and a hotel. So in that aspect, it maybe doesn't hurt them as much as like it would hurt Borgata or Tropicana or some place that's really trying to do all the other things on top of the gambling. And that's not to say Taj doesn't have any shows or anything. I mean, they've certainly got a theater, they've got restaurants, they've got a buffet, they've got scores. If that's your thing.
Woo pasties.
Yeah, but so I thought that was an interesting point, and I do think that's sort of how they've marketed. I don't think that they've really marketed themselves. I mean, certainly when we started going, I remember them sort of like that was the poker casino. Like that, it was a big poker room. It was really something they played up probably more than other places. I don't know if that's just because of their presence in Rounders in that sort of seminal scene with Matt Damon and Johnny Chan, but that's sort of what they were. It was a gambling place, big poker room, lots of tables. And I never heard anything about like restaurants at Taj or shows at Taj or anything like that. So I guess it affects them less in that way. But it's not good. And one thing that I should add is we haven't looked at the data month to month or talked about it on the show. It would be really interesting. The data will probably come out about a week from now for July, and the workers were on strike for all of July. So we will see, like, did their gambling revenue really suffer because of these the workers on strike?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be able to see soon enough. But, yeah, I mean, I don't really know. All I have to say to that is I don't remember John. I'm sorry, John, I don't remember. I think that's actually the quote from Rounders.
I've only seen it once. Yeah. I should
oh, come on, man.
It's on Netflix.
It's so good. So good. You need to watch it right before we go to Atlantic City, whenever that's going to be.
Oh, we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much wraps it up for the Taj. Hopefully, I mean, I haven't heard anything about any kind of negotiations, so who knows, but it'll be interesting to look at that data. Maybe it has not hurt them as much as you would assume, but who knows. And I was there, and I didn't see them or hear them or anything. I mean, I never made it down to that side of the boardwalk, but...
Oh, I was going to say, did you go to the Taj on your thing?
No, we did not.
I was going to... Would you and Andrea go to the Taj if it involved being yelled at as you walked in, which is what it involves now, from what I understand?
I'd probably feel a little weird about it, but yeah, I think curiosity would get the best of me, and I'd still go.
I think if it was me, I'd try to like sneak in a side entrance or something where there were not pickets.
Go through the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just here for the rock shop.
Yeah.
It's fine. So probably maybe better news, I don't know. MGM Resorts International, which we have talked about in some detail a few episodes ago, now officially owns the Borgata. There was a press release with a byline for Jim Murren. I'm going to assume that he did not write that himself, but his name is listed on the thing, so talks a little bit about, the standard bullshit. They're so excited to have it as part of their property. It's the jewel of East Coast gaming, whatever. They're also opening stuff in Maryland. This is going to be great for them. The thing that it said that I think our listeners will care the most about is that he flat out stated that M Life Rewards will be coming to Borgata early next year. So the quote is early next year. I don't know if that means January 1st. I don't know if that means, who knows, first quarter. Could be anything, but M Life is coming. I don't know if there will be just a hard cutoff and your Borgata card is done and then it's M Life, or if there's going to be some short overlap, which I expect there probably will be. Like your Borgata card will sort of still work and your rewards will sort of still work, and then you can also have an M Life card. I don't know. But that will be coming. So M Life means that your Borgata comps, the stuff you earn, points you earn, tier credits you earn at Borgata will be good in Vegas, will be good at MGM National Harbor in Maryland, and wherever there are MGM resorts, including Mississippi and God knows where else. So I don't know. I don't know if there's too much else to say about that really, other than that news. Now that you've had some time to digest MGM as the main owner of Borgata, are you excited about it, indifferent, worried?
I feel the same way that I did before. And basically I am cautiously optimistic that hopefully not too much changes there, but, slightly worried with all the profit growth plan stuff that MGM's been doing. So I think we're going to see a lot more about it sort of closer to 2017 when they start actually transition it to M Life and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think my fear in reading the press release, and I don't know if I really had any reason for this other than paranoia and my general pessimistic attitude that we've discussed, is that MGM has been so aggressive with their profit growth plan in Vegas and seems so indifferent to the optics of charging for parking, basically screwing all their valets over, making smaller pours in drinks and all that stuff, and adding vouchers at the comp bars instead of just leaving it up to the bartender's discretion, that I'm worried that they're just going to come in and say, we're going to implement all these in the first 6 months. That's probably not true, and that's probably just my own fear, but I am worried about that. I definitely was thinking when I was walking around Atlantic City last weekend that it's weird how I used to have this sort of distaste for Caesars Entertainment. It's like, oh, they don't keep up their properties. They're kind of cheap. They bought up all this cheap property, and now, they're sort of low roller central with Harrah's and Wild Wild West and Bally's and AC, and I mean, not Harrah's and AC being cheap, but Harrah's in Vegas, and Rio and all this stuff, and they just are sort of the bargain brand who doesn't keep up their properties that well. They've done a better job of updating their properties recently, that even their sort of cheaper, crappier properties are not as bad, at least in Vegas. But also MGM has been so crappy that I feel better about Caesars without Caesars really having done that much to earn it. So there's something weird about me feeling like warm and fuzzy about Caesars and Total Rewards when it's only comparative. Like, it's only in relation to MGM being shitty, and it doesn't have anything to do with really what Caesars or Total Rewards is doing for me. So that's kind of weird, and I hope that is not a reflection of what's about to happen at Borgata.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I think we'll see. I think it would be insanity for them to come in there, and when it's just obviously, it's not just the best and most profitable casino in Atlantic City. It's like by far, it's steps above the next best. And for them to come in and change a whole bunch of stuff, like they're just asking to not make as much money as they could make by not touching anything. But we'll see. Who knows? Yeah,
and not only that, I think it's important also to point out that they're the only casino, I think, in Atlantic City that has like transcended seasonality at this point. I mean, their dip in gaming revenue in the winter is now, it's maybe $10 million. It sounds crazy. I mean, it's a significant percentage, but when you're talking about $50 versus $60 million, and other casinos are like, 10 versus 20 or something, or 20 versus 30.
Right.
Like, they are raking in money year round. They are a true resort where people go to Borgata and feel like that is where they're going. It's not Atlantic City. It's not the beach. Like, they go to Borgata to go to Borgata. So doing anything to lose that is not going to be good.
I mean, how much of that, that's probably, I would think some of that's partially because it is a marina property. So you would think, or at least I would think, even without much knowledge coming in, that the beach properties would sort of by definition be a bit more seasonal than the marina properties.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, the marina, we've talked about this.
Because like we've talked about it, it's, the marina's kind of disconnected from the rest of Atlantic City in the way that the boardwalk properties are not.
Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, it's almost like a sort of Foxwoods Mohegan Sun dynamic. Like, they're just sort of, it's a couple of casinos that are there next to each other, and you can almost ignore the rest of what's on the boardwalk if you're... I think we've even talked about like a marina trip versus a boardwalk trip.
Yeah.
We typically don't just stay in one, but if we're staying in one, we're not spending too much time at the other.
Yep. So, you just went to Atlantic City.
I did. I was there for one night, which was not enough time.
So give us the rundown. What happened?
Sure. So we stayed at Tropicana, and it was a pretty good time. I have to say, Tropicana when we went, you and I, we sort of went out of our way to spend some time there in whatever that was, February, I think.
Is this one we went with? Oh.
No, I think it was just us two. And we talked all about how we were going to go to Trop and spend some time there, and we went.
Yeah. But not when we stayed there. When we just went.
Yeah, we did not stay there.
I got you. Okay, keep going.
And we kind of left not feeling like it was that great, and like I kind of felt like the casino wasn't that great. And I had a feeling that if you're staying there, you get more of a feel for the other things that make Tropicana really nice, rather than just going and just being in the casino, which in a weird way, like even though the main casino floor is updated, like certainly the slot areas and everything are kind of the crappiest parts of the Trop. So staying there, for one thing, we stayed in a new Havana room, which was, the renovation is great. Like the rooms are really like well designed. They look really good. Just everything about it looks very sort of upscale and nice. We were on what was the 51st floor, but was really the lowest floor in that tower. It's still, it's still high. It's still, I don't know, it's probably still like would be the 12th floor or something of any other casino. But since it's the lowest floor, I think, and just looking at pictures on Tropicana's reservation site, I think every floor above that has floor-to-ceiling windows. The 51st floor, the windows start 5 feet off the ground. So if you are under like 5'4", you cannot see shit out of the windows in that hotel. So I walked in and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But then I walked up to the window and I was like, this view is amazing. I can see all the other hotels. I can see a ton of the beach from here. And it was a really nice view. It would have been way better if it was a floor-to-ceiling window. And then my wife, who's like right at 5'4", was like, I can't see anything. And so she had to walk over and like sort of grip the ledge, or the window sill, and bring herself up on her toes and look. And then she's like, oh yeah, it is a really nice view. But she was pretty annoyed by that. I think if the check-in process had been smoother, I would have walked down and said, yeah, we need to be off this floor. Like, this is too shitty. But, by the time we were checked in and everything, it was pretty late and we were going to a show. And so that is where my other real complaint about the Tropicana comes in, which is that we got there pretty early. We got there right around noon, which I figured, check-in's at 4. They're just going to tell us there are no rooms. But I waited in the check-in line. I got to the front, and they were giving people, like, the little key envelopes. And I was like, oh, sweet, we're going to be able to check in. So I said, okay, room for stone, whatever. She goes through the whole standard credit card ID stuff, and then she gives me an empty, whatever you call it, the little envelope where the cards go in, with a thing on it that just says, come back at 3 p.m. So I'm thinking, so she's like, you're checked in, it's fine, you go to this other line that's for key pickup. So I'm thinking, this is really smart. Like, now you don't have to wait in the whole check-in line again, you just walk up and you grab a key. So it'll be great. So we went and spent maybe 3.5 hours on the beach. Well, we got lunch and then went and spent 3.5 hours on the beach. We got lunch at Tony Luke's over in the marketplace or whatever, and not nearly as good as the original, way too much cheese whiz. So if you like Tony Luke's in South Philly, definitely do not go to the one in the Trop. It's just not as good. So then we had dropped off our bags at the bell desk, went out to the beach, sat around for, like 3.5 hours. Tropicana has a deal where if you're staying there, you can get a discounted umbrella. They were long since out of those, so I just went and bought an umbrella from one of the crappy, like, t-shirt shops, which was only maybe $3 more expensive than renting the umbrella would have been. So that's something to keep in mind, like, just buy the umbrella, even if it's for a single use, and you can throw it out later. But we stayed at the beach. We came back in to check in around 4:15 or 4:30. The line at the key card area was insanely long. Like, the key pickup, it was way, way longer than the check-in line. So, and not only that, the line at the bell desk was equally as long. So, luckily, we had two of us. So Andrea could go to the bell desk and wait in line to get the bags, and I could go to the key pickup and wait in line to get the keys. But, like, if you were one person, you would have had to, like, you would have gotten there early and gone through the line to check in, wandered around for 3 hours, come back, waited in line for even more time than the first time to get your key, and they went through the same exact process, like they needed your ID and your credit card and everything. Like, it was exactly like a check-in process, but there was only, a couple people doing it instead of the entire desk. And then you would have to go to the bell desk and pick up your bags. And my wife and I finished at the exact same time, so it would have been literally double the time if you were there alone. So that process was really kind of annoying, and they need to figure out a better way to do it. Like, it would have been way, way better if when we first walked in, if there was just a sign up, or even somebody just sort of waving you off, being like, there are no rooms, come back at 3 o'clock, we'll have rooms there. And I think they're just trying to keep all the lines relatively short. I think the idea is good, but the execution's just really bad. So that was really annoying. It sort of took a decent amount of our time that we thought we had to sort of get cleaned up and relax before the show that we were going to. So we kind of rushed upstairs and got cleaned up. Like I said, the room was fine. The shower maybe didn't have the sort of vigor that you would hope after spending a day at the beach. Like, it's one of those sort of rain shower heads. And when I'm all sandy and stuff, I want a fire hose, and it was not that. So, I can't review a room without bitching about the showers. So mark that down. So we got cleaned up. We went to Wet Willie's, which I don't know if you know what Wet Willie's is, but it is a daiquiri stand in the same vein as Fat Tuesdays, which is everywhere in Vegas. They also have them in New Orleans. We got a daiquiri that was a mix of banana and pina colada, which was delicious, but for $12 was kind of disappointingly small and not as boozy as we would have liked. So I don't know if I would go back to Wet Willie's. But then we went to the show. So the show was Magique Remixed, featuring Kevin and Caruso. I mentioned this on the Facebook group, so if you're in the group, you've already heard the story before. So I had booked my room, which was only a discounted rate, not comped. It was $150 for a Sunday night. And then I got an email, I had assumed unrelated to the room, saying, hey, if you want free tickets to this Kevin and Caruso show, you can get up to 2 free tickets on select dates. So I sort of debated about it in my mind, because I was like, is this actually going to be any good? Is this just some sort of dollar store version of a Vegas show, like a real magic act in Vegas? Or am I going to just go and wish I was somewhere else, or wish I was eating dinner on the casino floor, just at a bar, doing whatever else with my time? But I figured, I sort of did a little bit of research, and, some of the reviews said it was pretty good. There weren't that many reviews out there. One of them said, oh, the tricks are really obvious, it's not good magic, whatever, which, I don't really care about magic in the first place. But the thing that sort of sold me on it was something talking about the detail of the costumes and the choreography, and how it was sort of a much bigger, Vegas sort of spectacular kind of show, and not just a magic show. It wasn't I'm up here, I'm about to do a trick, and here's a trick. And also that the other thing I read that sold me on it was that it was extremely fast paced, and that it would be over in 70 minutes. So I figured, I can deal with an hour and 10 minutes. If it sucks, at least you're out of there soon. And worst case, they're free tickets. If we leave 15 minutes in, then we're done. So we went to that show, and it is unbelievably fast-paced. There is not a moment to breathe at any point in the show. It is just here's a trick, here are a bunch of girls in crazy costumes dancing, oh, costume change. The sheer number of costume changes in that show is incredible. My wife and I were both in awe of just the detail in the costumes, and apparently Caruso, who's one of the two guys, Kevin and Caruso, obviously, hand makes all the costumes, which I just can't believe. I mean, it really made me sort of wonder how high the budget for the show must be, because they've got 8 showgirls all doing choreographed stuff, insane costumes that must have taken an incredible number of hours to put together, and it really was a spectacle way beyond just a magic show. And there was no real setup for the tricks. There was a little bit of sort of just showing you, what the sort of gag was, but there was no 15-minute build up to some gigantic trick. And so some of the tricks sort of ended, and then you were like, wait, what is even going on? Like, how did that person appear there or whatever? And there was no setup, so you didn't know what to expect, especially with like the big finale trick where you're just kind of like, oh my goodness, that was insane. Like, how did this even happen? I don't understand. But since there's no build up, you're kind of like shocked by it, which was a little weird in a way, but also made me leave thinking, like, I really want to go see it again. Like, now that I know what to expect, I want to go back. So I feel like that's a really good sign for the show. I got in for free. It was $30 for adults, $15 for kids. There were a crap ton of children there, and they all were absolutely loving it. So if you have kids, I would say go to that. It's all done with, like, sort of electro-pop kind of current music that was really good and upbeat. Like I said, it's really fast-paced. There was no point where I was like, oh, I wish I was out doing something else, so I think that's a really good sign. And it really felt like the type of show that would be at a Vegas resort. I don't know, like a typical kind of Vegas-y show, although the kind of show that Vegas doesn't really have that much of anymore, you know, with showgirls and magic tricks and that kind of stuff. And maybe a little bit of comedy, although not that much of, you know, jokes, or there's no, like, comedian there. But it was good, and I would definitely recommend it, and it actually got me sort of thinking about what other shows in AC I've sort of dismissed as just sort of residency shows where they feel like they've got a captive audience and they just shuffle people in or offer comp tickets to people just because they happen to be in the casino or they're losing too much money and they want to give them something to do. And one of the things I came across was Nick Wolenda's Zirkus, Zirkus, I think, that is at the Taj Mahal through September 2nd. So similarly priced at the Taj Mahal. It's like $40 for reserve tickets, $30 general admission, $15 for kids. I watched a little bit of a video promo for that, and it also looked kind of cool. But the Kevin and Crusoe show for $30, I would absolutely pay $30 for that. The one thing my wife said about it was that they were very accessible after the show. Like, all 8 showgirls were there you could get your pictures taken with them, and also the 2 magicians were, like, right by the doorways shaking hands, and it almost made them feel, like, too accessible, like they were waiting for someone to come up and ask for an autograph and shake a hand.
I just want to tell you, I think it's pretty normal for this type of show to just have the whole cast basically available after it. I don't think that's particularly strange. So, I don't know, I think that's something that you'll get in a lot of places. Yeah,
I mean, that's a good point. Like, even I went to see Blue Man Group in New York, like the main show of Blue Man Group in New York, and same thing. Like, they're all just hanging out on the way out.
Yep. So the only other thing that really popped into my mind is, I know you said you weren't really blown away by your cheesesteak at Tony Luke's, but how does it compare to Sack of Sub at Harrah's?
Well, so Sack of Sub is not there ananymore.
Right. But
I don't know if you know this about me, but I've never had a regular cheesesteak at the Sack of Subs. I've only had a pepper steak.
The pepper steak.
Which sounds good in theory, but when they give you, like, the bottom of the jar, soggy-ass peppers, and it's, like, the most peppers you've ever seen in your life, like, I couldn't even eat it. I had, like, 2 bites, and I was like, this is too gross. This is like eating garbage. So we've joked about that ever since. This is like 2 years ago.
Like a joke that we had, at least 2 years ago. It was probably more than that.
Yeah, the pepper steak.
But, it was a lot of, like, usually when you order a cheesesteak and it's got peppers, a lot of times you expect, like, the peppers get cooked in with the meat or whatever, but this was just like, from the giant jumbo 5-pound jar of like, what were they, like, sweet peppers or something, just, like, all over the cheesesteak.
Yeah, and just, like, thrown on there after the fact. Like, no.
Yeah, it was like 50% peppers and 50% everything else.
Yeah. No. So there's an ongoing joke between Kyle and I, where one of us will randomly either text or, like, I am the other person saying, like, oh man, I could really go for a pepper steak right now with extra peppers. So
yes, extra peppers. So unfortunately, they got rid of that at Harrah's about, I don't know, year and a half ago.
Yeah, so that's probably one of those jokes where you had to be there, but it's good. Still, I feel good about sharing that with the world.
Yeah, Sack of Subs is generally pretty solid too. So I don't know what was up with that.
Yeah, that was terrible.
It did not look appetizing either.
No. So after the show, we went to the Continental, which our plan was to go to Budokan, but I think we sort of assumed Budokan was similar to the Continental in terms of the menu items, where it was more like small plates and you just order a bunch of stuff. But it's not. It's like big entrees kind of stuff. And we weren't really in the mood for that. We wanted to try a bunch of different stuff, so we went to the Continental instead. The food at the Continental was very good, so I was like not disappointed. I would say we ordered like this broccoli with soy sauce kind of thing that was literally just steamed broccoli with a cup of soy sauce, so don't order that. But otherwise, mashed potatoes very good. Pad Thai was excellent. I forget what else we got. There was some fish tacos that were incredible. The food was very good. The drinks, which sounded very good, were really off. And so I think the bartender was just having an off night, or like Sunday night. I don't know if it's not their typical bartender, but I got the Mexico City Mule, which came very highly recommended from my brother. And it was good on first sip, and then as it got further into it, it got like really, really cucumbery and kind of weird. And my wife got this, it's called a Pineapple Express, which was like almost like a margarita, but very pineapple heavy. But it was with like smoked pineapple and smoked salt. And that was also really good on first sip. But like 2 sips into it, you're like, this is just way too much smoke flavor. And it was really gross. Like you couldn't even finish it. The dudes at the table next to us were drinking blueberry mojitos that they were just crushing and said were amazing. So clearly we just ordered wrong. But, I'm not going to write off the Continental's drinks because I know I've had good experience. Other people have had good experience. I think it's just either we picked bad or it was a bad night for the bartender. But that was kind of disappointing. And then after that, I think we gambled a little bit at the Trop, like walked back to the Trop, played a little bit of video poker, won a whopping $5 and then called it a night. So that'll tell you how much gambling we did. I think we played maybe 20 minutes of video poker and 20 minutes of some like Peter Pan slot that was very weird. But the Peter Pan slot, which is like over by the poker room, your money will last a very, very long time. Like we had $40 in the machine, played for 20 minutes and like cashed out for 25 or something. Like it was definitely a very slow burn. So I don't know if I'd wander over there to play again, but whatever. So that was Sunday. Monday we woke up, checked out. We were going to go to breakfast at Casa, the like taco and tequila bar in Tropicana, but then we kind of decided...
Yeah, recommended by Steve.
Yes, recommended by Steve.
That's right.
And then we kind of balked at the last minute just because we wanted more of a traditional breakfast, and wanted to try something different outside of the Trop, so we walked over to the Chelsea, which is right next door, and went to Teplitsky's. So Teplitsky's, if you haven't been, there's an inside that's like a very typical coffee shop. I mean, it looks like it's ripped right out of the 60s, but, clean. And then outside, there's an area that's by the pool that sort of still looks ripped right out of the 60s. My wife said she felt like she was vacationing in Mad Men. But like the sort of outside by the pool area, there are flies and it feels a little dirtier. So that was less cool. It's just the standard breakfast fare. Like the food's not anything to write home about. It's fine, but it's not great. I probably would not go out of my way to go there again. And honestly, I probably would have preferred Casa at the Trop. I mean, we saw the previous day, we got there just as they were finishing breakfast, and they had like some of the breakfast stuff out for you to see, and it looked incredible. So that'll teach me to ever doubt Steve again for his recommendations, because in the future, I think we'd both prefer to try Casa and definitely not go back to Teplitsky's.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, Teplitsky's was fine, but it's just, I don't know. I'm glad I tried it just because it was an interesting atmosphere, but like food-wise, just really didn't. I mean, it was diner food. It wasn't anything to write home about.
Yep.
Yeah, so then we went to the outlets. We did a bunch of shopping. I got some shirts for work, which I know you're all excited to hear about. And then we went to the Golden Nugget for maybe half an hour before heading home, which oddly sort of feels like my new tradition, because last trip I also hit Golden Nugget like just as we spent the morning at Borgata, and then I was like, I'm gonna hop over to Golden Nugget, and I went there for maybe an hour, played some full pay video poker, got some chocolate for my wife, got a coffee for the road, and headed out. And this was kind of similar. Like, we wandered around the casino, watched some people play Wonka, and some dude hit the Wonka bonus and didn't have to hit a spin for like 20 minutes while he got all these other bonuses during the Wonka bonus. Ate some quick lunch at I forget, Bean and Bread, I think it's called, which was a pretty solid sandwich, although sandwich, chips, and a soda was $16. I mean, I guess that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, I'd say it's casino prices, but I think you can beat that at
you can beat that
Bread and Butter at Borgata. So
yeah, you can definitely beat that.
But we did get our chocolate at the chocolate box. And then that was it. Headed home.
Cool.
I mean, I kind of like the Golden Nugget. I kind of like the tradition of sort of hitting Golden Nugget on the way out, just to wander around a little bit. I would like to see the pool deck at some point that Ed keeps recommending in the Facebook group, but
yeah, we probably do need to check that out. So, how would you rate your trip? A resounding success?
It was a very good trip. You know, we gambled, like I said, barely at any at all. Less than an hour, I would say, total. And I still had a great time. I mean, Tropicana, I think, is perfect for that. Really, I think the best beach property for that resort atmosphere. I'm not going to say it's as good as Borgata, but like, we really wanted to do a beach day, and going to Borgata doesn't really, it's not by the beach. Borgata actually has a beach shuttle that will take you to, I think, Brigantine. So it actually takes you out of Atlantic City. But we didn't really want to do that. So it was. Trop was great, I thought, except for the whole check-in process and the window thing. I would certainly stay in one of those renovated Havana Tower rooms again. I would just say, like, any floor above 51. But yeah, the trip was great. I mean, we both, I think, had a really good time, and really made us realize, like, there's so much to do other than the gambling. Like I said, the show was really good, so I'd certainly look for other shows. We were originally talking about doing the Huey Lewis and the News show, which was that Sunday night, which was kind of part of the reason we picked that night. I mean, not that we're like big Huey Lewis and the News fans, other than that I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. But we, like I've mentioned before, just closed on our apartment, and we were feeling very monetarily drained. So we decided not to shell out the $150 or whatever total that it would have cost to go to that. But yeah, I mean, it really made me sort of realize, like, hey, check out some of the other stuff, like the random sort of shows that are going on that these resorts have. I kind of always assumed it would be like some shitty dinner theater in the Poconos kind of quality, and that was not true at all. So, good trip. Yeah, definitely good trip.
Awesome. So, one thing you mentioned in there that I'm going to use to segue is we mentioned Steve. And so, last episode, we spent quite a bit of time, probably 10 minutes, talking about our thoughts on how he can optimize his comps. And basically, we were informed after the fact by reader or listener Eric, who we actually happened to meet in Atlantic City in our last trip together, that everything we said was wrong.
Maybe not everything we said was wrong.
So, yeah, basically, I think we came with the idea that any play that you have is only going to end up helping your ADT and
ATT, or your trip theoretical.
And your ATT, yes, your average trip theoretical. But Eric says that we're wrong, and so does Michael Traeger, and both of these guys are people who would know way, way, way more about the subject than us. So I think the basics of what they recommend, and you can correct me again, Eric, if I'm wrong again, is that you should try to keep only your highest play at the property rated, and if you're going to be significantly dropping your average bet to, play a different game or to play with friends who don't bet as high as you or whatever, you probably should play unrated. And it's the easiest thing to do. I think me and Craig have talked about it some. I think we want to have one of those two guys on in some future episode, maybe a couple episodes down the line, because like I said, they have far more expertise than we do on comps. I mean, I've been Diamond, but, I've never dealt with a host, which is what Steve was talking about, which is what people like Eric and Michael always deal with. So I think we're going to have maybe more information about that in a future episode, but apparently you shouldn't listen to what we said in episode 19.
Yeah, and it was really just a incredibly informative conversation.
It was super great conversation about comps in the Facebook group if you are interested in that.
Yeah, and it's we sort of said, not to sort of do a total cop out, but we've sort of said we casino hop and we play for fun and we don't really do much for the comps. But there's certainly, if you're gambling at a level significantly higher than what we gamble at. Maybe not necessarily significantly higher than what you gamble at, but if you gamble at a level where the comps are significant, it is definitely worth it to know what hurts or helps your comps. So the insight was great. Definitely, go to the Facebook group and check out that whole thread, and then sort of, see what they had to say and take their advice, certainly above our advice that we provided last episode.
Right. I mean, my personal feelings are I'm going to stick by what I said, which is at Steve's level. I think that he probably can get comped regardless of what he does if he just wants a room and board comp. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth checking out if you're interested. And for me personally, I mean, I'm not someone who cares that deeply about comps because honestly, I don't play at a level commensurate with me getting like huge comps or getting weekend rooms in the summer or whatever. So it doesn't matter what I do unless I really try to minimax the system. And for me, that makes it start to feel a bit more like a job and a bit less like entertainment. So it's not something I'm necessarily personally interested in, but I know that many of our listeners are very interested in maximizing their comps. And if you play at a slightly higher level than I do, I think it does make a lot more sense for you to at least know a bit more about it.
Well, I will say, it's not something, like I do not play at a high level. But one thing that I've done that is, even realized is a horrible mistake, and I still can't stop myself from doing it, is there have been a couple of times, I used to get pretty good comps at Tropicana, like not weekend nights, but certainly Monday through Thursday, Sunday through Thursday, free rooms. And I had a couple of trips where I went and stayed at a Caesars property, but took the bus back to New York out of Tropicana, just because the timing worked or whatever. And so I would go to Tropicana, and I would have half an hour to kill, and I'd play video poker down by the buffet in Hooters, and put my card in, and you're not even earning a credit at that point. You're earning like next to nothing, but your play is getting rated, and so I did that twice. And basically, as far as Trop is concerned, they're like, you are popping in, you're gambling nothing. You are like, your value to us is clearly next to nothing, and it just crushed my comps, and I haven't gotten comped well at Tropicana since then. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Like, if you're just popping into a casino, keep your card in your pocket. For some reason, I had this idea that, like, oh, I'll let them know I'm alive, and they'll start sending me, like, it's like Bed Bath & Beyond. They're going to send me that 20% off coupon again. Like, that is not how it works. Like, do not go put your card in if you're going to play a penny slot for 5 minutes. So that's something to keep in mind. We can talk about that in way more detail later on.
Yep. Like I said, I think a future episode we'll try to tackle the comp question a bit more thoroughly.
Yeah.
When we have people who are more of experts on it than we are.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I know it's kind of up in the air if we're going to talk about Paul or not.
Yeah, I think we got a few minutes. I think let's.
You wanna blow through it? You're tired of just keep pushing it down the road?
Yeah, I mean it's almost like a running joke at this point that we
just keep pushing Paul off
back and back and back.
All right,
let's do it.
Have at it.
Okay, so Paul, if you don't know, is my brother. So he had never been to Atlantic City, and from listening to the podcast, he decided Atlantic City sounded pretty cool. He's been to Vegas several times and is a big Vegas fan, more for the sort of opulence and the fancy restaurants and the experience and the nice rooms than for gambling. Like, he's not a huge gambler. So I was very worried that he was going to go and say, like, this is garbage. Why do you like this so much? This is not Vegas. What did you send me to? So I was trying to be very clear the entire time that, like, do not expect Vegas. This is what you should expect. And I think I did a pretty good job. Like, we directed him to Borgata. He was in not the lowest level room at Borgata, but the next up, which I think, is that the Fiore Suite? Or is that one below that?
I believe Fiore Suite is the next level up.
Okay, so he stayed at Borgata, said the room was amazing. Bed was comfortable. He thought all the common areas looked way cooler in person than they do in pictures, which I agree completely. He said it's certainly not the Wynn level of opulence, but still very nice, and it had that fancy luxurious hotel resort vibe that I like about Vegas.
Fiore Suite's the second level.
Okay, so that's
club room is the third.
Okay, I'm pretty sure he was in the Fiore Suite. They went to the Continental for both food one night and then drinks the next night and loved it both times. So again, I think we just had a bad drink experience. They did knife and fork for dinner one night. They said, which I've never done. You've never done knife and fork either, right?
I have not never done knife and fork, no. Which, by the way, I just want to interject really quickly. We've talked about it before. Doc's is back open. Apparently everyone thinks that it is pretty great that has gone to it since the reopening, and it's something me and Craig highly recommend. So
yeah,
just want to throw that out there.
Same owners, right? Knife and Fork and Doc's.
Yeah.
So
yes, I believe that is true.
So for Knife and Fork, he said it was good service and good food. It didn't totally blow them away. He feels like for that price, they've had sort of more spectacular meals. They did go to the real White House subs, not the one in the Taj, which we have not done the real White House subs either. He said fun to try, but not someplace they feel the need to go out of their way for. They did really like the sunroom at the Water Club, just to sort of hang out and get a drink. And one of the big things that he said is, this is coming from someone who was a Vegas person first and foremost, had never been to Atlantic City, was that he came up with some things or realized that some things about AC were preferable to Las Vegas. So this kind of sparked a little bit of a Facebook conversation that we'll get into. But Paul said the weather was gorgeous. It was so nice to be able to walk around outside and not have it be constant oppressive heat where I need to hydrate myself constantly. He also said AC has some green areas like the path from Borgata to Golden Nugget or Borgata to Harrah's along the Absecon Inlet. He says there are lots of non-smoking areas, so it's easy to find two machines next to each other that he and his wife liked that weren't just totally enveloped in smoke. And that's something that I had never really thought about, and I didn't realize Atlantic City has a rule that 75% of every casino has to be non-smoking, of every casino floor. So, that works much better in places like Borgata and Harrah's and Tropicana where the ceilings are very tall. In Golden Nugget and Bally's where the ceilings are lower, the whole place just feels like a smoking place because you get 25% smoking and it, the smoke just permeates everything. But that's definitely true, and I have noticed Vegas casinos are significantly smokier than certainly Borgata in Atlantic City. I've never had a problem at Borgata with the smokiness except for one bank of full pay video poker machines is in a smoking area. But one thing he also said is that Atlantic City, at least the Borgata version of Atlantic City, is a type of vacation that Vegas isn't. It's like the combination of a laid-back, relaxing beach vacation with the coolness of a really luxurious hotel casino resort. So I think the relaxation aspect is something that's very true. And one of our followers on Twitter, Jim and Derek, who have a YouTube channel and do a bunch of funny videos, you should go check out their videos about some gambling tips, Stan's gambling tips, if you will, which is, I won't spoil it for you, but go watch their tips and learn how to win at video poker. Mentioned that AC, they also find AC much more manageable, or it's, the highs of Vegas are so much higher than anywhere else, but Vegas just kind of beats the crap out of you. I'm paraphrasing very much, so that is not exactly what they said, but so in that conversation, I was saying I can do AC 4 or 5 times a year. I cannot do Vegas 5 times a year. I would just be completely worn out. And then part of that is also my brother said, not having to worry about flights significantly reduces the stress of the trip. And that's something that on our Facebook group, Mike C. agreed with wholeheartedly. He said it's an 8-hour drive for him to Atlantic City. So it is not even necessarily faster for him to get to Atlantic City than Vegas. But he said it's an easier trip than flying across the country. You've got connections, airport parking, hotels for checking out of hotels for early flights and all that stuff. Whereas, you go to Atlantic City, you still have your car, you leave on your own time, you get there on your own time. I mean, for me, I only live 2 hours outside of Atlantic City. So, I can hop in my car, get to Atlantic City faster than I can get ready, get to the airport, and even like be on the plane. Like by the sort of time of like leaving my house to get to Atlantic City is just about the time it would take to like leave my house, get through security, and like be waiting at the gate in Newark or something like that. So that's a pretty big benefit. It's obviously not saying a whole lot for Atlantic City itself. It's just sort of saying location and convenience. Mike also said resorts are comparable. There's a little less entertainment in Atlantic City. He likes the beaches and the boardwalk. Obviously, the comps are better, which I think is sort of universally held to be true. I can't really compare because I spent so much more time in Atlantic City than Vegas. And then also just having a car without having to deal with a rental is a big benefit, and that's something my brother said as well. So that sparked a whole conversation about sort of other things about Atlantic City that are better. And I think the big thing that I took away from, and I think we talked about this in the second or third episode, where we sort of struggled to come up with things about Atlantic City that were actually preferable to Vegas, is like the relaxation aspect of it. Like Vegas is so in your face and over the top, and it's great. I love it. You know, I love that aspect of it. But Atlantic City has like just the right amount of that, but also lets you sort of hang out and wander around and not feel like there are 100 people or, 100,000 people in your face slapping cards at you, trying to get girls to your room or trying to get you to go to a strip club or trying to ask if you want to party or, whatever else. It's just like much more manageable. It's relaxing. It has sort of the up-tempo aspect of the craziness of the casino, but you can get away from it, where in Vegas it's much harder. So that's definitely something that I will say is a big benefit of Atlantic City over Vegas. And I'm sure now a bunch of people call me an idiot and say Vegas is the greatest. And, Vegas is the greatest. Like, let's not act like it's not. But there are things about Atlantic City that I definitely prefer to Vegas. This is where you jump in and say, like, no, you're an idiot.
I'm not going to say you're an idiot, man. We do an Atlantic City podcast. I think that if I could be teleported to either right now, I would prefer Vegas. But I think that Atlantic City definitely does have its charms. And depending on the type or depending on what exactly you're looking for, what your priorities are, Atlantic City is often going to be the better choice. For me personally, like, I would never go to Vegas even 4 times a year, which is what we probably are going to Atlantic City now, right?
Yeah, we average around 4, and you're right. Like, I couldn't do Vegas 4 times a year.
No, that's like way too much. I'd like to do Vegas more than I do it, which is never right now. But for a long time I was doing Vegas once a year, and that was pretty much perfect for me. But got married and had a kid and all that jazz. So we had said in maybe the second or third episode, like, if you lived closer to Vegas, would you ever come to Atlantic City? I would. Would I do it? So, like, let's say I lived in... It depends, right? Let's say I lived in, St. Louis, assuming that's halfway between Vegas and Atlantic City, which I have no idea if it is or not, but it seems about right to me. It's actually probably a little closer to Atlantic City. Let's say Kansas City. I would go to... Assuming I could meet up with the same people in each place and all the other variables are constant, I'd probably go to Vegas 3 times a year and Atlantic City once or something like that. So if I lived in Arizona, which, I did for 2 years, where Vegas is like a 5-hour drive and Atlantic City is like a 5-hour flight, that is $1 million because it's flying in Atlantic City Airport. Actually, maybe not, because Spirit
is cheap.
Is Arizona and Atlantic City. So that may not be the case. But if I was living in Arizona, I don't know if I would ever go to Atlantic City.
Right, but
it would be like a special treat, like maybe once a year, once every other year, kind of like Vegas is now for me.
So, but you mentioned the teleportation thing,
right?
So if you could teleport to either, would you never go to Atlantic City?
No, of course not. I think I would go to Vegas more, but I would go to Atlantic City at least every year.
I feel like I would just be a dead split. I feel like I would be in Atlantic City as often as I could get there if I could teleport, and Vegas, but
yeah, that is actually true. I'd be there more often than I am now. But for me, I think part of the reason I say that is that it tends to be when I go to Vegas, like, I meet a lot more friends there than when I go to Atlantic City. Oftentimes in Atlantic City it's like me and you, or maybe like me, you, and Taylor or something like that. Whereas Vegas, it tends to be a bit of a larger group, and it's more people together, and it's sort of a bit more rare and more like a treat to me.
Yeah, it's just a bigger event to get out there, which
right.
It is. That's the way it goes. But moral of the story, AC is awesome. You should go. You should enjoy it.
You should go.
If you haven't been,
or if you haven't been in years, you should check it out. Me and Craig both think it's great.
Yeah, and so does Paul, and so does Mike C. So
does Paul and Amy and Mike C. and a lot of other people who listen to the podcast.
So trust those people. Don't trust us. Trust Paul and Mike C. So I think that's pretty much it, right?
That's it. Yeah, it'll be just about an hour episode, I think, which is what we're looking for, right?
Yeah, maybe a little longer. I talked a ton, so I apologize for you having to hear.
There was a lot of talk, especially in the your trip report section, but it was your trip report, so I don't think there's any getting around that.
Yeah. Well, if you're tired of hearing my voice, you don't have to hear it again for a couple weeks. So
as a special treat to y'all, I can try to close this out so that you don't have to listen to Craig anymore. But we want to thank everyone who's been posting in the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/do-for-a-win. If you are not already a part of it, you should definitely apply. We have had really fantastic conversation there. It's been a real treat just to interact with everyone there. For me personally, I was a little bit tentative going in because I'm always worried about having to moderate things and hurting people's feelings when I'm like, hey, you can't talk about that here. But it's been really fantastic, and everyone involved, all the posters, all the commenters have been across the board great. So thank you guys very much, and it's a really great community, so hopefully we get more people involved.
And when you say apply, it's not like you're applying for a job. Like literally, we will approve you within 2 minutes.
You hit the apply button, and then we approve you. Right?
Literally within 5 minutes.
I think when we see the pop up, it's like a race between me and Craig to see who accepts the person.
Yeah, you've been winning that race a lot lately.
I know.
It's like 90%, 10%.
Well, yeah, I put Facebook back on my phone like a month ago, so for a long time I did not have it on my phone, which meant I would never win the race, but
that makes sense.
It's back.
No, I never win anymore.
Yeah. You can also find us and all of our great content, both podcast and not podcast related, at doforawin.com. Mostly podcasts these days, but hopefully we'll get back to doing a couple articles and stuff. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, as well as at doforawin.com. You can reach out to us at doforawin. Most likely Craig will be the one that gets back to you, but I'm going to try to get a little bit more active on it. I've made a couple comments in the last few weeks on Twitter, which is more than I have done in the past, so it's something I'm interested in doing a bit more of. And you can send questions to us at doforawin@gmail.com. So, when are we going to do another episode, Craig? Are we going to do it next Friday?
Meaning not this Friday, but next Friday.
Yeah, right.
Whatever that is.
Friday.
August
12th? 12th, 13th?
Yeah, I think that's...
Get it up on the 14th, 15th?
Yeah, that weekend.
Just pretend that we're not horribly late for this episode?
Yeah, pretend this is totally on time, and we're right on the 2-week schedule. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so we will hopefully be talking to you guys again in a couple weeks, and the next episode will probably be posted on the 14th or 15th. But thanks very much for listening and participating in the Facebook group, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks for listening. So October 1st is a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That would work for me. I'm in Ocean City, New Jersey, the week right before that.
So you can just stay there, right?
So stay for the week.
Well, if you're there the week before, right? Does that so you leave the 1st?
No, I leave the 25th or whatever that is.
Well, you can just stay for an extra week in Atlantic City then.